There has never been anything I found more interesting in games than deleted, unseen, or cut content from games. And that's exactly why I'm here today, because I've been researching some of the cut content from my favorite games, and well, I found some amazing finds. So today, I'll be showing you some cut content from Spyro the Dragon. Starting off with the first game, there surprisingly hasn't been too much removed from the game, but there are still a few things that you can find. First being a secret message that's actually hidden in the files of the game and is also included in both sequels that says, "Now is the winter of our discontent. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. Call me Ashmel, stately plump back mulligan. Call me Jonah, my parents did. Gaily bedight the gallant knight. Beware the ideas of March. I always get the shemp." This paragraph of text actually means pretty much nothing to anyone who doesn't work at Insomniac, since the word shemp is actually just an inside joke for the employees, because when someone messed up, they got the shemp. The term actually made its way into the first game, with it being used for the boss Dr. Shemp. Alongside that beautiful piece of text, there were also 5 dragon names cut from the game, including Rashidi, Jethro, Finley, Gale, and Sylvus, with Sylvus being the only name that could actually be seen in the demo version of the game, though the dragon that used the name was changed to Thomas in the final release. A few extra world names can also be found in the game's files, with one being Dragon X and the other being Thigh Masters. Dragon X is assumed to be a placeholder just in case the game came across an error and couldn't read a world name, and Thigh Masters is assumed to be another inside joke, because I can't even imagine what a world of Thigh Masters would look like. But to get that image out of my mind, there are a few extra life graphics that were never used in the game, one being Spyro's floating head, and the other being that same head but on top of a silver circle with dots around it. I can only assume these dots are meant to resemble the dots that surround the current life symbol we have in the final version of the game. There are also 2 unused sound effects in the WAD files, with one being a cartoonish slap and the other being a second death effect for the armored spider enemy in high caves, which sounds like it's being hit with a ton of force or just being squished. Lastly, there are 4 tracks that can be heard in the game itself without having to hack the code or files at all, though it is pretty rare that many people have heard them, since they only start playing after standing in a certain level for an extremely long period of time, so it's unsure if these tracks are glitches or hidden Easter eggs by Insomniac. The first is an original theme sounding much like the Peacekeeper's world music. Next is a song which sounds very similar to Wizard's Peak. Another seems to be the basis of the PAL variant High Caves theme. And lastly, another that sounds like a mix between Alpine Ridge and the Gnasty Gnorc level. Moving on to Spyro 2, Ripto's Rage, the fan favorite game, I found it very interesting that there was hardly any information on this game, and the stuff I did find, I actually had to hack the game myself to get good gameplay footage of it. So check out the interesting things I was able to find. Sadly, much of the information I found is incomplete, and therefore there is no sources or images for some of the cut content I found. A few examples of this are some limited developer instructions with some oddly placed profanity throughout them, a guidebook for Dragon Shores hinting at the possibility of Dragon Shores actually being a level instead of just a fun fair, and lastly, dialogue stating that there would have been another hippo minigame in Shady Shores. A few things I was actually able to find sources for are 2 songs from the European soundtrack that were never used, and 2 more things that can actually be seen in the game still, though most people probably missed them. The first being an outro cutscene for the Glimmer level that is only activated if you exit the level a second time. And 2 pieces of dialogue that can only be seen when not having a power-up active, though it's hard to see these dialogue boxes because you need to glitch past a few enemies to stop yourself from gaining the power-up. The first being in the level Metropolis, where this text can be seen.
I've successfully developed a super power-up here, Spyro. Knock off just a few more enemies and you can be the first ever to use it.
And the second piece of text being in the level Magma Cone, reading,
"Here we are on the night of the big party, and we don't have anything to celebrate with. If you could fly, maybe you could do something about it."
Lastly, there's a hidden room in Colossus near the hockey rink, where the hockey players and goalies usually come out from, and you can never actually enter this room. But using a few glitches, we can make our way into the room, and to our surprise, we can find 2 models for both goalies and this guy here who never stops skating. The last thing I should mention is that beating the game and acquiring all the skill points in the game will unlock the epilogue, showing you what happens to all the characters after the game is finished. But it also shows off some pictures of enemies not used in the game. Though I won't be going into them just because there really is no information on these enemies except for the pictures and names you see here. Finishing off with Year of the Dragon, this game is actually filled to the brim with cut content. Sadly though, the Game Shark codes I was trying to use didn't work. So this is another instance where I had to actually hack the game to get any good footage. But I won't bore you with the specifics, so let's actually continue on to the content. First off, we have a few more hidden text files, including Brian Elguera, we love you, which was actually put into the game by the head level designer, Brian Elguera himself. Another line of text included that's actually too long to fit in the dialogue box of the game says, "The very last egg. No, really, it is. Where do you think you're going with that egg? You just put that back this minute. You can't trust anyone these days." 2 unused bullets Bentley was supposed to give you during the Scorch's boss fight can actually be found in the coding of the game. The first being a smart bomb-like ability that would kill all enemies on the screen but wouldn't affect the boss, and an invincibility item that would make you temporarily unable to be damaged. These items were most likely removed due to them being overpowered or just not useful at all in the first place. Now, using the in-game dialogue tester that any one of you can use by simply typing in the cheat code square square circle circle square square circle circle in the pause menu on the level you want to hear the dialogue from, we're able to find 2 unused dialogue clips that the professor was supposed to say in the Evening Lake level.
Oh dear, I've been trying to build a rocket to take you to Midnight Mountain, but I appear to have misplaced my plans. Now I can't even remember where I was working. Don't worry about me, I'm just gathering my thoughts. Let's see, I was working on the plans, some ninjas appeared, yes, and then everything gets fuzzy.
Please note that if you try this yourself, testing the dialogue will cause it to loop endlessly in place of the music until you exit the level. Lastly, the thing that excites me the most about deleted content in games is secret levels or areas that were scrapped from the game but are still reachable through glitches or hacking. The first of these areas in Year of the Dragon is in the level Fireworks Factory, where you can find a cave through glitching that has an extra life in it. It seems like you may have been able to crash through the wall at one point in time before to enter this room, but I'm guessing they never ended up coding the wall into the game. Also in Dino Mines, using a flying in water glitch, you can fly your way to a secret portal that leads you to a battle arena that was most likely going to be used for a boss fight, but was ultimately scratched. The last and most interesting area is in the level Midnight Mountain, which has a small unreachable island that has 3 lives on it. But the most interesting part was that the developers had actually commented on this island and why it was there. The developer who actually designed the level stated that the super bonus round portal was actually supposed to be on that island, and after defeating the sorceress in the final battle, an extremely large whirlwind would spawn, bringing you high enough to actually glide over to the island. But due to how vacations work, the designer wasn't around when the decision to remove the whirlwind was made. But through hacking, it is still possible to spawn the whirlwind and use it, which does look pretty awesome. It's always interesting seeing some of the content that could have been in the games that we play, and sadly some of this content just has to be scrapped, but I'd like to keep learning about it all. So if you have any games that you'd like me to look into, let me know and I'll try my best to make videos on them. But till then, I'll see you guys in the next video.